The biggest takeaway from the first scene of episode 6 is how bad episode 5 was. Welcome to the review of the 6th episode of the first season of Witch. Link to the full playlist for this series looking back on this cartoon is in the card and the description. I didn't really leave off on a very positive place last episode, so I'm happy to inform you this episode is a marked improvement. In fact, I think depending on how the story goes forward, it's a very important one for developing the girls' relationship with their job. It's so important that even years after I last watched it, it stuck with me. Don't think that means it's free of flaws though. It's also the first episode not written by Andrew Nichols and Daryl Vickers and instead by Trey and Nancy Calloway. I know I don't usually name the writers, but I figured it was a change worth noting. But before we get to all of that, I now have more to complain about from episode 5. The first scene of this episode, Labyrinth, is Cedric revealing he has a magical way to communicate directly with Phobos. No secret messages carved into the side of old train stations required, so even the setup for the plot of episode 5 no longer makes sense. Should I assume that he picked it up as he was leaving the last time or something? Cedric explains to Phobos that he set up a bookstore at an inversion point between Meridian and Earth. This is just exposition for the sake of the audience because there's no way Cedric managed to set all of this up and at no point thought to mention to Phobos, oh by the way, my human identity is gonna work in a shop with a portal that leads directly to your basement. Actually, it isn't even a portal, it's an inversion point. They don't really explain what that is though. Anyway, they are still looking for Phobos' sister. Meanwhile, the girls are in school taking
the study of
the origins of myth.
Yes, thank you.
Americans in the audience. Is this a real middle school class? This is actually a Taranee focused episode. Kind of. It's our first confirmation that she is, in fact, the smart one that isn't just tied to her design. I mean, she's wearing glasses. It's obvious.
I lost consciousness somewhere around Zeus's third wife.
Irma, that was Hay Lin's line. Frankly, this is becoming so consistent that I don't feel like pointing out every example in the episode anymore. Okay, that's not true yet.
You still think it's one of us?
While Irma and Hay Lin manage to squeak out a beat, Taranee gets in trouble because her teacher doesn't believe she turned her paper on Theseus in, even though she says she turned it in a day early. You would think he would remember her turning it in a day early. And so she gets an F. Complaining about this will be the thing that she does in the background for the rest of the episode. Honestly, perfectly understandable. The essay is actually a plot device that serves two purposes that I will reveal as we go along. Meanwhile, Caleb is kind of failing at customer service. Why would you make him be a waiter?
Waiter, my wife asked for water with no ice? Then tell her to wait until it melts.
No, really, why? Caleb is also shown using a photocopier for work and explaining how it works to Blanc. This scene is mostly set up for a joke I don't care for much.
Have you had a chance to look at the menu? Blanc.
Is there like a clause in Blanc's voice actor's contract that says that he must appear in every episode even if he's not necessary? Going back to the scene in question, there are two things I find worth noting. 1. Caleb plans on using it to make copies of a map of Phobos' castle for all his field commanders, which is a good way to tie into his duty as the leader of the rebellion. Meridian is always on his mind. In my episode 3 review, I mentioned that Caleb has no magical obligation to Meridian, but is still the one most dedicated to saving it. And that's because he actually knows the place as something other than a scary kingdom ruled by the crazy twink. Something the girls will learn more of later. The second thing is the way he pats Blanc's head as he leaves the scene. At Will's house, the girls are discussing the beast in Heatherfield and trying to figure out who it is and what it wants. They are also concerned, but more about the dangers to their home dimension.
Said all you have to do to reveal a beast in human form is touch it with the heart of Kandrakar.
Hay Lin, why? Like she put effort into that. But before we get too distracted, it's time for another round of witch outfit rankings. Because of course it is. Ranking the outfits worst to best as usual. Irma, Will, Cornelia, Hay Lin, and Taranee. Can't lie, I think Hay Lin and Taranee look particularly good. I mean, I think they all look good in this episode, but they look particularly good. Cornelia's placement is taking into account that she loses the sweater soon. You know, giving the main characters a variety of outfit changes, while trope breaking, is making it very obvious that all the other characters have very limited wardrobes. Elion wears the same thing as always. Back to the show. As Taranee contemplates how her teacher lost her essay, the girls contemplate what to do next.
He's looking for one of us. We don't know that. Please, he comes here, he's searching for a girl our age. What do you think he wants? A babysitter?
That's an excellent question, Irma. I wonder if it's been answered.
But he is not the legitimate ruler. They believe the true heir to the throne is somewhere here on Earth. I fear he wants another, whose battle is yet to come.
Okay, what's the point of Hay Lin having read the script if none of them are going to make this connection? In fact,
Phobos has discovered the rightful heir to the throne is alive on Earth. If we don't locate the heir before Phobos does, Meridian and Earth are both doomed.
Caleb knows the answer too. Anyway, Susan kicks Will's friends out so Will can study.
Help me. Okay, the little straight line between two numbers means you subtract.
Now sure the leader, the girls make their way over to Cedric's bookshop to buy some books. Why this particular bookshop?
Because the mall bookstore doesn't have a tall, hunky manager.
With jet black eyes and a devilish smile.
Okay, that'll just make certain subtexts in future episodes more uncomfortable. I can't wait to get to them. You know, Cedric probably recognizes them, but at this point I can't say I'm entirely sure of that either. As the girls search, Elion hangs back to deliver some exposition to Cedric.
Cornelia is my best friend.
Hay Lin finds a book with the writing of the beast on it as well, and when she calls all the others to look at it, she touches it, and they all get transported to a labyrinth. Fortunately, Blanc just happened to be nearby, eating flies of flypaper, and saw them disappear. How incredibly lucky. Look, I don't mind plot conveniences like this in children's shows much. I'm more impressed if it's cleverer, but I'm not going to judge it that harshly as long as it isn't too convenient and leads to an interesting story development. This might lead to an interesting story development. We'll see how it goes forward in later episodes. But it's also really convenient. Would have made more sense if he was just following them. As for the inherent danger of the book, I guess we just have to hope no one gets interested in it or they're effed. The girls get transported to a labyrinth of a library with no way to get back. As they run around panicking, Taranee quickly gathers her wits, realizing that they're just getting more and more lost.
Oh, it's a labyrinth. Like Theseus and the Minotaur. I gotta be on that. Shish, she's being smart.
Taking a page from Theseus, she decides that what they need is a line of string to help them navigate the way. This was the first purpose of the essay.
Cornelia, give me your sweater. How are we gonna find our way back by leaving my sweater behind? Oh no!
Blanc goes and tells Will about what happened. Well, to the best of his ability.
Girls, they're no girls.
After getting some more exposition from Hay Lin, the exposition woman, Will gets Caleb to come with her and, I guess, break into the bookstore. I mean, there's no way Cedric would just let them walk in, right? In fact, later in the episode, we find out he's in Meridian. Also, Caleb knows what Cedric's human form looks like. Would he recognize him? Does this show follow Superman rules? Meanwhile, Cornelia is whining about her unraveling sweater and, I can't lie, I think she looks better without it. Wait, is that sunlight? It was evening when the girls walked into the bookstore, night when Blanc got to Will, and now there's sunlight? Look, I can put up with a lot of inconsistencies in this show's presentation, but this is wild. The sky is a goddamn plot hole because there is zero reason it shouldn't still be night. Did they stay the night in Meridian? Well, time actually moves differently in Meridian, at least in the comics. But still, aren't their parents going to miss them if they disappear for a whole night? Blanc leads Caleb and Will to where everyone disappeared, only to look away when Will and Caleb get transported away, leading to a joke I actually remember.
This way, then that way, then... Ah, no, Caleb!
Thanks to Taranee's guidance, the girls don't walk around in circles and actually manage to find an exit, leading to Phobos' kitchen. Interesting layout. Does he have them deliver his food directly to him when he's reading? Alright, honestly, if I was royalty and TVs didn't exist, I'd probably do the exact same. A completely unremarkable woman with no real plot significance spots them and quickly shepherds them out of the castle before they get caught.
What do you think's on the other end of this?
My guess? A very unhappy Cornelia.
Will transforms before she and Caleb go searching for the others, looking so lonely as she T-poses to assert dominance. They follow the trail of yarn until they run into Phobos. I'm just going to guess that he noticed the heart was in the castle right before she transformed and came running. Caleb bravely, but more foolishly, goes on the attack and gets folded like an omelette. Will drops a bookcase on Phobos as a distraction and they escape. Something shouldn't be in the episode. Anyway, Phobos orders for the tracker to go capture them, and apparently no one else. Wait, I just realized that this is another episode about breaking into this goddamn castle. It's at this point that the episode gets really good.
Once you told us you were the Guardians, everybody brought something. Why did you come all the way here from Earth in human form?
I mean, there's still the question of how the Guardians are apparently so recognizable, but beyond that. Did you know that in the comics, Phobos' family are actually the only human-looking people in this world? It probably makes more sense there. And yes, it is because they are descended from humans. I've been doing some research on what happens in the comics. It's actually kind of insane. Will picks up a cake and throws it from one universe to another just to hit a girl flirting with her boyfriend. Some of the people of the city near the castle are having a bonfire and have provided the lost girls with food to eat. Another fact from the comic, the name of this planet is actually Metamor. Meridian is the capital city where Phobos lives.
Why isn't anyone else eating?
Hay Lin, I think this may be all the food they have.
The reason I find this episode so notable is because it represents the girls being confronted with the seriousness of Phobos' evil by looking at how his actions negatively impact the people of his own world, and not just them. This is genuinely an amazing moment in the series that I really hope will lead to notable change in the girls' attitudes towards Meridian.
Kinda puts a lost essay into perspective.
This is the second purpose of Taranee's lost essay. The Guardians also find out about Phobos' search for his sister. Maybe it'll stick this time. The cook, whose name is never mentioned, so I'll just call her Exposition Chef, asks the girls to help them find the true heir. I'm sure she's really concerned. Cornelia asks a very good question of why Phobos would look for someone who might replace him, but that's when the tracker shows up. Okay, that design goes hard. The cloak, the red eyes, the scar, the hat, the ball and chain. He looks like Phobos got the half-rotten corpse of a badass to work for him as a bounty hunter. And he has a demonic looking dog too. Makes sense, he literally chases the girls up a tree.
Can we jump to another tree? Like a shorter one?
We're safe here. Looks like you're gonna be in a shorter tree after all.
This guy is so cool and terrifying, it makes up for the fact that he's totally underqualified for this job. Like, he did not stand a chance against the transformed Guardians. But as the monster chasing the human girls, chef's kiss. What the hell was that? But right as we reach the point where the slasher villain starts putting teenagers in coffins, Will shows up. Turns out she and Caleb ironically followed the tracker to find the girls. Thanks, Phobos. And you know what? Sure, he may be completely outmatched against the Guardian's magical abilities, but you gotta respect his dedication to the job. Caleb tries to get in a short fight scene with the dog, but Cornelia goes, "Sorry honey, episode's nearly over, maybe next time." With that done, the team walks off, presumably to try and look for a portal back to Earth off screen, while discussing the state of Meridian's people with a feeling of urgency regarding the need to free them from Phobos' reign. Back on Earth, Cornelia and Elion meet up to talk about Cornelia ditching her yesterday.
You've been doing this a lot lately. Are we best friends or what?
Of course we are!
Now that's a more natural way to tell the audience that they are best friends instead of having her randomly tells a random bookkeeper.
Come on, let me buy you a donut.
You know I don't eat donuts.
Well, that's just not true. Taranee, now with a bigger perspective on life, apologizes to her teacher for making such a big deal about the essay, only for him to apologize to her for forgetting her essay in his fridge. Meanwhile, Caleb has actually managed to adjust to his job as a waiter, and the episode ends with a shot of Blanc's photocopied face. Now, I write the scripts of these reviews before I begin watching the next episode, so at time of writing, I have no idea how much this affects the future episodes. But I do think that having an episode where the girls really come to terms with the true seriousness of their jobs, not just in regards to them and their world, but to the other world they are supposed to be helping, really was a good move. Especially by contrasting it with their relatively small problems of Earth life. Though it's important to mention that I don't think they'll actually stop focusing on smaller Earth problems, especially when Meridian isn't an immediate issue. This is a children's show, not the animated equivalent of Lord of the Rings. I really hope the girls don't wind up forgetting the whole "there's a bookstore with a book that leads to Phobos' basement" deal. Taranee works well with what she's given as we get to see her smart side over her fearful side. Now, Hay Lin is the one with the most need of focus. I'm looking forward to seeing how the girls go forward from this. They now have better understanding of what the bad guys are after and what's at stake. Let's hope they can keep the momentum up, and let's hope they can remember this. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and check out my channel for more content. Thank you, and good day.